everybody, welcome. You know what time it is. Let's do another Tiger King. Episode 6, The Noble Thing to Do. Now this starts out with Joe, again on the phone from jail. And he says he was asked twice to bail Jeff out of jail. The first time was a domestic thing with his first wife where he apparently had choked her and so on. And the second time, if you remember, he was shoving cubs in suitcases and taking them to parties in Vegas and the hotels. What a life for those poor babies, huh? I don't think I would have helped him in that case. But anyway, Joe says he's a predator. So Jeff decides to get out of Vegas, because he can't get in trouble for like 6 months or all his charges come back. He has to go to jail. So he goes back, and upon arriving at the zoo, he asks to see the financial records. Well, Joe doesn't really want to show him, So he goes down to the bank and finds out that Joe has embezzled a lot of money, like $60,000. Mostly for his campaign, when he's running for president and running for governor. That stuff doesn't come cheap. And he was buying t-shirts to give away and bumper stickers and all that other good stuff. And the teller says, hey, the feds are investigating him. Did you know? And he's like, no, I didn't know. So everybody in town seems to know, except Joe. And, well, Jeff knows now, but... So he goes back and he's really mad because Joe has forged his signature on checks for this $60,000 and kicks him out of the park. So Joe gathers up his stuff and he hides a lot of his guilt, the records and so on. He burns up a lot of files and, packs up his few belongings, takes a bunch of cats, and away he goes. So nobody knows where he went. He's just gone off grid. He says they're going to try and kill him, and everything. I think he's kind of losing it between, losing his husband the way he did and then remarrying this other young guy. I just don't know where his mind is. It's not with the zoo, that's for damn sure. So he goes somewhere in southern Oklahoma, stops at another park. He says cats are his responsibility, and the bottom line is animal rights people will be the only winners in this situation. Yeah. Well, I kind of think maybe the animal rights people are the ones who should win in this situation because the animals have no rights at this point. They are not accessories for parties. They're not, cute decorations. They need to be fed. They need to be taken care of. And he's not doing it. Nobody is at this point, I don't think. It seems like they've forgotten that the animals are even there. So the staff tells, since Joe is gone, the staff is telling people that he's retired. They don't know where he went. Okay. Jeff and Lauren hold a meeting. They tell the staff he's in big trouble. Rumor is he solicited someone to kill Carol. But all the staff doesn't really see this as a surprise. I mean, he has said many, 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 many hundreds of times that he wishes her dead. He wishes someone would kill her. He would like to kill her. He has, a film of him basically saying, that mannequin out there in the water, that's Carol. Boom, that type of thing. So yeah. So he has not made a secret that he hates her, and he has not made a secret that he'd love to see her dead. So what's the shock? And why is it different now? So the security guard that they have there, who I think was also a friend of Jeff Lowe, says that Joe had asked him if he would do it, and he declined. So Jeff is a felon, and Alan Glover, who Jeff hired, is a felon. And James Garretson, who invested for the Walmart dumpster dive topping pizza, is a felon. And he tried to sell a stolen Hummer to John Reinke. So yeah, and he's claiming it's because of a lemur that he didn't have the right paperwork on. Oh, lemur had nothing to do with it. It was a weasel. It was you. You're the weasel. Anyway, So, no secret they are plotting her demise. Jeff is the only one with any sense to use Google Earth and look at the layout of her park. So, Jeff and James go to Applebee's and they decide to call Carol and tell her, Joe is really honestly looking for a hitman. It's serious now. Well, they panic and they call the feds. So an agent shows up one day at James's shop and basically coerces him into being an informant. I mean, he's got all these charges for selling a stolen vehicle and the lemur. And so he agrees to be an informant so he doesn't end up going to jail. So James tells him that Alan Glover was the one that was supposed to do the hit. So the feds call Carol and say there is a credible threat. So Carol, reacts like anyone would. She stays closer to home. She doesn't ride her bike. They put up security cameras and, so on. And she was putting gas in her car somewhere, and Alan Glover happened to walk by. And he gave her that creepy feeling, that somebody's watching you kind of feeling, but he didn't do anything. So, I don't know, perfect opportunity. James tries to contact him, and finally Alan says, I'm going home. I'm going back to South Carolina. I don't want to do that. It's not enough money. It's too much grief. I'm just going to leave. So, since that didn't work, the feds put one of their guys to be the hitman. James tells Joe he found someone, and they just wait for the money transfer, because Joe doesn't have any money. And this took months to get an arrest, okay? Jeff has phone conversations with James, tells him about the feds, and he's more than happy to help them talk too, because he has troubles. Everybody's turning on Joe just to save their own butt, okay? So Jeff calls Alan, who said, Joe offered him $5,000 to get to Florida, but gave him $3,000, so he just said, forget it. Joe decides to hide. He has posts on his Facebook of the beaches, and it's really pretty, and his newest husband is out in the water in an inner tube, and he says they're in Belize. But people from the area that know them say, no, that's Florida. Okay, so they finally find him, and he gets arrested. Carol posts her big thank you online to the feds. He's held with no bond. Joe says he was framed by 3 felons, and I do believe he's right. I do believe that. But meanwhile, now that he's out of the picture and Jeff is the rightful owner, they are planning on moving the zoo closer to Texas, or in Texas. Because people in Texas have money, people in Oklahoma don't. So they think it'll do so much better if they get it closer to where the people will come. So that's their plan. They buy some land and they start marking it out and start building, okay? So Joe says, from jail, he writes to Dylan, he calls, and tells him don't forget about him. And he tells him about his arrest and how, off the wall it was, all these cops, everybody after him, and just a zoo, a real zoo. But he does give phone interviews to the news in the area, that they want to know what happened. He gives his side. And they say it's like a train wreck. You can't look away. I mean, Joe is the ultimate showman, He gets on there, and he's not going to shut up. He's going to tell you his side, and I imagine their ratings probably went up. But we will continue with this saga next time. Bye, everyone.